My favorite baseball team is the most successful team of the last decade, the San Francisco Giants.
My favorite baseball team is the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Favorite team? Why, it's the New York Yankees.
Favorite team? That would be the Oakland Athletics, them Elephants, the Oakland A's.
Seattle Mariners.
My dad's entire side of the family is from Southern California, so I was baptized at an early age with a little Earl Hershiser water, and here I come.
Oakland A's, baby. Oakland A's. Die hard since the pretty much the day I was born, but yeah, always been an Oakland A's supporter thanks to my grandmother and my family, and I'm proud to continue being a supporter of Oakland A's green collar baseball.
Our favorite baseball player couldn't be anybody else. Not only did he go to Florida State University, he was also drafted by my San Francisco Giants. Future Hall of Famer Buster Posey.
My favorite current baseball player is Justin Turner because 1, he's a Dodger, 2, he's a very clutch Dodger, 3, he's like the glue guy for the Dodgers, and 4, like me, has a ginger beard. His ginger beard is better than mine, but I appreciate it.
Gotta be Matt Chapman. For obvious reasons, we share a first name, which is probably the most important one, but he's one of the best third basemen that I've ever seen. He's certainly the star and hopefully the future of the Oakland A's. Very close second, though, is Chris Davis. With the look of Chris Davis, you don't expect him to hit the ball 500 feet, but he can.
Favorite current player? All rise. Sorry. Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge. All rise, though. You should all rise.
Well, I'm a former infielder, so my favorite baseball player is an infielder. That will be Tim Anderson of the Chicago White Sox. Cat is solid. I mean, straight up playing shortstop, hitting bombs, going to get in the hole. Tim Anderson, love what he stands for as well.
Favorite current player?
Ken Griffey Jr.
Favorite player of all time?
Junior.
Favorite baseball player of all time? Obviously, I'm an 80s baby, which makes me a 90s kid, and if you weren't rooting for Ken Griffey Jr. in the 90s, you just didn't have a soul. Griffey, even though was a Mariner, would actually make you buy Mariners gear because you just wanted to rep something Ken Griffey Jr. I had Ken Griffey Jr. baseball on Nintendo 64. I had Ken Griffey Jr. baseball posters all over my room. I had Mariners pennants. Why? Just because you associated the Mariners with Ken Griffey Jr.
My favorite player of all time, very simple, number 22, Jesuit High School, New Orleans, Louisiana, the Nuschler, Will Clark.
That's a very good question. Favorite player of all time? My personal is Eric Chavez, another third baseman, former Oakland A's third baseman. He was my favorite player growing up. A very, very close second is probably Barry Zito because he was the one that I actually got to watch pitch the most, both in Oakland as a kid, and I got to see him a lot as a Sacramento River Cat. So Barry Zito, very close second, but Eric Chavez, the Gold Glover, will always have a place in my heart.
Favorite player of all time is probably between a couple of players. My cousin played for the Yankees. That's why I like the Yankees. Greg Nettles. Don Mattingly, one of my all-time favorites. Derek Jeter. But I also really love Tony Gwynn and Ricky Henderson. So I kind of have a group of all-time favorite players.
Most people's going to say Ken Griffey Jr., the kid. It's now hard. Frank Thomas, the big hurt man, Chicago White Sox. Am I a White Sox fan? I just thought about it. No, but those two and Jimmy Rollins. Jimmy Rollins will be my favorite infielder.
I would say off the top of my head, I have so many favorite baseball moments, but honestly, Game 1, 1989 National League Championship Series, Wrigley Field, Greg Maddux on the hill. He talks to the catcher goes out, talks to him. I think it was Jody Davis, I could be wrong. First pitch after their meeting, Will Clark, grand slam home run, out of the park. Turns out Will was in the batter's box with Kevin Mitchell. He was reading Greg Maddux's lips, saw that he was going to get a nice fastball. He teed off on it. Obviously, the Giants won that series, but now when you see pitchers and catchers covering their faces with their gloves on the mound when they meet, that's because of that interaction between Maddux and Clark.
My favorite baseball moment won't surprise anybody. You see it at the end of Moneyball. It's when Scott Hatterberg hits that surprising home run to give the Oakland A's that phenomenal streak that they went on. An unexpected moment. I think the movie captures it really, really well. I remember watching it from home as a kid, just losing my mind. Just a moment that A's fans are all extremely proud of. Very close second, which I wasn't alive for, is when Ricky Henderson broke the base stealing record, and I believe it was third base. He picked up third base and celebrated with it, and then carried it off with him and gave it to his wife, I believe. I wish I could have been alive to see that moment, but it's one I go back and watch as much as I can.
My favorite baseball moment, it's really hard to pick one out from my favorite team just because I think the biggest Dodgers moment was the Kirk Gibson home run. Listen, I was 3. I can't really reflect on that too much. So my favorite baseball moment's sort of a weird one. It's 2004. It is the last day of the season. It's Giants-Dodgers for the division title. Dodgers are losing. They send to the plate with the bases loaded the old man, Steve Finley. Hits a grand slam, propels the Dodgers into the playoffs. They win their first playoff game, I think, in 16 years that year. That is probably my favorite baseball moment.
I have a couple. One, I would say I was maybe 10, 11, 12, something like that, and I went to a Dodgers-Mets game at Dodger Stadium, and Dwight Gooden was a rookie. I was a huge fan of Doc Gooden, and it was him versus Fernando Valenzuela, and I want to say like 1-0, 2-0 shutout. Gooden did a complete game as a rookie, and the place was just crazy. I mean, there was Dodger fans, Mets fans, but a lot of atmosphere for the Mets and the Dodgers, but really for Valenzuela versus Doc Gooden. So I remember that, being young, being really into that. And then I'll say this is going to be hard to say as a Yankee fan, but going to Fenway Park, I had just such a great experience. Those fans are great, and I think that park is awesome. I had a great time just as a fan. Nondescript game, they played the Rangers, but being at Fenway Park was really pretty cool.
Favorite baseball moment?
The kid.
Best ballpark memory at the Oakland Coliseum was when I had the opportunity to go to the ALDS, I think it was 2012. Yeah, against the Detroit Tigers, and the A's were facing elimination, and Coco Crisp hit a walk-off single in the 9th inning. That was the year of the magical walk-off for the Oakland A's. So for Coco to hit that walk-off, it just symbolized the entire year that has been. The A's were able to survive, stay alive, and live on to fight Verlander and the Tigers another day. But being able to be in that ballpark to celebrate that moment, as we know, the Oakland Coliseum doesn't fill up too often. So to have that place completely full and absolutely losing their minds was one of my favorite, not just ballpark moments, but just sports moments that I've been a part of ever.
You know, weirdly enough, my best ballpark memory, I have 2. Number 1, I used to be obsessed. I pitched and played catcher in Little League, and I was obsessed with then Bob Brenly backup Bob Melvin for my Giants. We had seats right by the bullpen, and I, during a game, got to talk briefly with Bob about he had a very unique squat, just like Tony Pena did with the leg out. Bob didn't really squat down on his haunches, on his feet. He kind of halfway bent between standing and kneeling, and I tried to emulate that as a catcher myself. So that was a really cool memory. And then the other one was I was actually at an A's game, and we were in the outfield, me and a couple of buddies of mine. We were with my parents, and we went out trying to get a ball while they were playing catch before the game. And Mark McGuire chucked me a ball and caught it, still have it somewhere. And then that game, he hit his first career grand slam when I was there. So that was kind of a cool moment too.
So my favorite stadium moment actually took place while I was in the stadium and on television. Let me explain. So I'm at a Giants-Astros game, and of course I'm a huge troll. So what do I wear to a Giants-Astros game? Sitting in the bleachers? A Dodgers jersey. So anyways, I'm probably like one of, I don't know, maybe 2 people in the entire 60,000 plus fans inside the stadium that has on a Dodgers jersey. I get picked out by Kruk and Kipe on the broadcast. And they take the little telestrator and they X me out on television because of my Dodgers jersey. I don't know why, but my dad told me that's the proudest he's ever been of me.
Majors, tournament of champions, okay? Playing in Willow Rancho for the Giants. I don't know why they didn't draft me for the A's, but at Willow Rancho in the majors, the Giants was the squad. We had won 5 championships in a row. Of course, I was part of 2 of those. And we played a team from Walnut Creek. And we played at some elementary school, had no fence. It looked like the school might have had 200 students in the whole school. Might have been a K through 8. And I never forget, we had heard about this pitcher that was from Walnut Creek. And I don't even remember what little league they were from. But he was a knuckleball pitcher. Literally. Like 11, 12 years old. It was a knuckleball pitcher. Tim Wakefield, Joe Baber, cats like that, Tom Candiotti. And when I say, like, we'll tear this up, man, this dude shut us out straight up, man. We lost to the team 3-2.
If it's not my time, one time at Fenway Park, going to old Yankee Stadium was fun. I went the final year that it was open, and so it was closing that year, and went 2 games. So went on a Saturday and a Sunday, and had 2 different seats in the park. But the first day, we were in the bleachers, and to see them call out, I'd never experienced that, but one of the New Yorkers there just stands up and they yell every position player's name until the position player acknowledges them. And they have different chants for, at that time, Robinson Cano and Derek Jeter and so on and so forth. They were playing the Royals, though, and being with these bleacher creatures. I mean, they were crazy. There was a Royals fan sitting 2 rows behind us, and we kept getting hit with wayward peanuts because people were throwing peanuts, just harmless, like steady diet of peanuts after peanuts at this Royals fan the entire game. And I'm not kidding, it was the entire game. And then one point it stopped for a while, and you see a guy come from, we were in the outfield, right field seats, you see a guy come from outside the tunnel, and he's holding up 2 new bags of peanuts. So he probably spent 20 more bucks on peanuts. And then he just kept lobbing them. And the Royals fan didn't say anything, he was just taking it and just kept, the whole game, they were throwing peanuts at this poor guy. But that's one of the memories I'll never forget.
Best ballpark memory.
KGJ.
Barry Bonds is not my home run king. Barry Bonds is not my RBI king. Barry Bonds isn't my batting average king. Barry Bonds isn't my OPS king. Barry Bonds is no king, okay? But he was a really damn good baseball player, and probably the greatest I've ever seen.
Barry Bonds is my home run king. I know it's easy to say I'm a Giants fan. Of course he is. I've thought a lot about that, though. I don't know what other home run hitters went through. I don't know what they took and what they didn't take. The fact of the matter is Barry was never suspended for PEDs. I think we all kind of understand, at least with the Cream and Clear, that he was screwing around a little bit. But it's what it says in the record books. I think Barry Bonds statistically was the greatest all-around offensive player in baseball history. And it's unfortunate because you could also make an argument that Roger Clemens, again, all around the best pitcher in baseball history, and most likely neither of them will make the Hall of Fame. It's what happens when you take shortcuts, but the record books say he's the all-time home run king. I say he's the all-time home run king.
Yes, because I was alive to really see him and appreciate him. I believe Barry Bonds should be a Hall of Famer. I am not a Giants fan by any means, but obviously with the close proximity, I pay attention to them. So I love Barry Bonds. I love what he did for the game. Every time I can go down a Barry Bonds rabbit hole on YouTube, I will. I would say, yeah, he's I don't want to say why, but he is the home run king in my opinion.
Is Barry Bonds your home run king?
Ken Griffey Jr.
Hell no, he ain't. Hank Aaron is. I would never give a San Francisco Giant any love up under the umbrella that I live by. Okay? Never. Oakland A's, all the way down. Hank Aaron, the original home run king. You heard what I said. The original, not Babe Ruth. The original home run king. Babe Ruth didn't play with African Americans, so it didn't count. So take that to the bank. Hank Aaron, the original home run king. That's the guy. Salute Barry Bonds. I've met Barry, one of the greatest dudes, great all-around ball player. He's not better than Ken Griffey Jr. We can have this argument anytime you want to. Hank Aaron's the original home run king, straight up.
Yeah, he is. He hit the most. He's the greatest hitter I've ever seen. It's Bonds. There's no asterisk to me. I saw it. He was gifted. They weren't cheapies. He is the home run king. Notice I have a bat.
Jr., the